Awesome.
And I rubbed it in my dad's face mercilessly. I was like, I thought you said we couldn't win. I won. And then I never won another one. So he was probably right.
Sophie, do I have you on my G chat?
No.
How do we usually do this? Do you have Google Gmail?
I do have a Gmail. I've been on the G chat before, so I feel like we must be Google friends or however. I don't use G chat.
Google Friends, I like that. It's their new product. Google Friends.
Because I see one from you that
happen.
says test from December 3rd.
Yeah, okay. Send me if you can click that and open it and then send me a message back?
Yeah.
That might do the trick.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Okay. So, I'm going to add people. I'm going to get rid of Joe. Oh, I don't know if I can do that. Oh, well. Shoot. Okay. Oh, here we go. Perfect. Okay. All right, forget it. I'm going to have Mark make the chat because they make fun of me every week because I have trouble getting the stupid chat working.
You'll get no judgment from me. I don't ever understand how anything on the Google
It's
platform.
not the chat that's confusing. It's the Hangouts thing is weird the way they do it. It's like a
Yeah.
separate thing and it confuses the shit out of me. Oh, actually, while I'm doing this, let me listen to my test. Especially after last week's debacle. Mike sounds good on my test.
Oh, I haven't listened to last week's yet. What happened?
I updated to Windows 10. I'm actually recording a test right now. I updated Windows 10. Awesome. Okay, good to go. It made me so upset. I don't know. I just
the one from last week.
Yeah, I just like the audio quality stuff is important to me because I feel like a lot of shows just aren't up to snuff, and I would like to be.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think people probably understand since we're usually on top of it. So who else is on with us this week? Is it just Mark or is Casey on too?
Sorry. It is us three and Mark.
Okay.
No pressure.
I mean, I don't know if you remember, Eric. I've been on a 3-person episode before.
Listen, Sophie,
yeah, you guys killed it.
I brought up that fact to Mark today when I was telling him everything was going to be all right. All right, of course, we're still waiting on Mark, so let me just see.
The only downside is that this limited cast episode cannot start with Eric and I fighting about a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I mean, we could, but it's been a while.
Were we fighting?
We were respectfully disagreeing with each other.
About Freddy's Dead?
Yeah, I think so.
Nice.
Because I believe your argument was basically, if you take out the scenes with Freddy, it's a good movie.
No, not Freddy's Dead. I'm sorry. That is my theory on Part 5.
Yes, whatever the name of that one is.
And I
with
stand
the fetus.
by it.
I'm not saying I disagree with you. I just think that makes it. Is it still a Friday the 13th or a Nightmare on Elm Street movie if you take him out?
No, I mean if you take it as a whole, it's a disaster. But I've seen it. I've seen it enough times that I've grown an appreciation for certain aspects of it.
Okay, I think that's a fair point.
Much like the Nightmare, much like the Elm Street kids, all of those movies are my children now, and so I try to love them and each of them in their own special way. For me, it was like. I was not a very adventurous movie-going child. Like, I loved horror movies, but I kind of just got some things that I really loved, like Friday the 13th, like stuff that was like, I knew it was going to be okay because I'd already seen it, or I knew I liked Jason or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it was like Halloween, Friday the 13th, or Nightmare on Elm Street. And even if I went to the video store and like got other stuff, I always got at least one of those movies and brought it home. So I've seen all of them like an unhealthy amount of times.
Oh my gosh, I meant to tell you that I was listening to an episode of The Moth recently while I was on a run, and a kid was talking. Well, he's a man now and has a voice very similar to your
He's a
voice,
man now.
and was
He's a
talking
man
about.
now.
He was telling this whole story about being obsessed with horror movies when he
Hey,
was
buddy.
younger, and he talks about having like a signed Freddy poster where Freddy's wearing a tuxedo, and I was like,
Yeah.
this could
That's
really be
incredible.
Eric Newell.
Part 3. That's like some of the best art of any of the promotional art of any of them. He's wearing a tuxedo and he's like holding up Nancy's mom's head. Hey, Mark. Son of a bitch. This is not starting off well. All right.
At least I'm only partly to blame.
No, everything's fine. You sound good, and the bonus is when you're on like a call like that and you're not on video, the chances of it dropping out are much less.
Okay, good. I'm sitting directly next to my router too. Just I was prepared, but
That's
Thank you.
smart.
I appreciate it.
I tried
just-
to plug into it, but it didn't work.
We've gone through it so many times. So real quick. So you oh, first of all, Mark, I need your help in so many ways.
Okay.
I need you to get a Google chat started with these two lovely people over here because I tried and failed, and I also tried and failed to find the link,
I know. It's just like on a random chat with
the
Sophie.
streaming link for the site to send out for the show to send out to patrons. That also has not happened.
All right, little buddy. I got you.
All right, I was waiting for you, bro. What was the other thing? I forget. Anyway, so you won't hear the bumpers, Colin, but they do play in real time now. So basically, as soon as you hear me like saying like, "All right, let's take a quick break," just mute,
Okay.
and then as soon as you hear me talking again, unmute.
Okay.
And it'll be real time. So like, you might be sitting there for like 90 seconds or something like that.
All right.
Trying to think if there's anything else. And you're at your computer, right? So you can see like the chat that's up.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Well,
So
I see it. Yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry. Mark's gonna send it because I couldn't
Got
get it
it.
working because I'm an idiot. But that's kind of like we will communicate there like incognito if you're having a problem or if you want to, make sure we talk about something or something like that.
Okay.
Mark,
Eric,
if
are you
there's
in on
anything
that
else
chat?
I'm forgetting, just let me know. Sophie, we got an email for you that I don't know if I want to read it, but
Oh my.
it's
Why?
somebody who, well, it started out great.
Oh God. Famous last.
It's like, hey, I love drinking games, and Sophie's drinking game poster, like my favorite thing ever, blah, blah, blah. But then it's like, she has a YouTube channel, and she wants to, like, do your drinking thing and, like, give us all this credit. I'm like, I don't know. Suddenly I felt weird about it.
Yeah.
Especially right after we just got an email from somebody that basically was trying to get Joe to buy him regional beers and mail them to him. Which
That
then
should be fine.
We started joking like it's definitely like some 15-year-old kid somewhere.
Checks out.
Yeah. Can't see how that could go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I'll defer to you guys on that. That seems like I don't want to deal with it kind of thing.
Well, I mean, I can forward it to you if you want to just send her a nice email and say thanks and just kind of turn it down. I don't know, Mark. Maybe I'll send it to you and see what you think. I hate not responding to those people, but sometimes people are just weird, and I'm like, dude.
I mean,
Right. I would be
somewhat,
happy
I don't even know what to
respond
say
as long
to
as
you.
you guys direct me in the direction that you.
somewhat inexplicably, people keep sending emails even though we like never actually read them all the way through.
Yeah, you know what? They're getting shorter and better.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got do you want me to post the link in the chat too, or do you want me to just post it on Patreon?
Please give in the chat also, just so people have it, in case our guests here would like to send it out. Oh, no, they can't. I'm sorry. Just ignore that, guys.
Okay.
But that is the link that we send our patrons to view it live. You know what, Mark? I guess I don't really... You know what when Laura wasn't living here, I used to send her the link so she can watch it, but she actually lives here now, so...
Well, I mean, I like to have it just to keep an eye on how many people are in the feed. I'll check it every now and then.
Yeah, definitely. Is it up?
No.
It's like... No, I'm saying, can you see us?
Yes.
Okay.
The second you hit live on your video deal, it goes live.
Well,
one of these days, I'm going to teach you where to find
sort
it.
of, but like I've done it, and like Sneers has had trouble finding it. Like sometimes there's an inexplicable delay on it,
No, there's two.
like to going live.
in the creator studio, there's like 2 little tabs, and you would think it would be in the one, but it's actually in the other. It's really fascinating stuff. Okay.
All right, I'm good with fan mail. I have pictures. I have the GIF of Natalie Dormer and the ladybugs, so we're covered on that front. I did not get a chance to look up anything about Kabalababra Forest, so but we should probably say something about that. Like
Okikahara.
Okikahara Forest.
Good luck spelling that without assistance.
I was close. Oh, no, never mind. That page does not exist.
Oh,
I
that's
was
porn.
not close at all.
Oh, psych, that's porn.
Okigahara. It's a G.
Okigahara.
All right, I can read this. Whatever. I can just say this name for the word of the day, I guess, too, and like just read what it is. I can be as lazy as Schnars. I can do that.
Damn, son.
I don't know if you're on the same website as me, Eric, but apparently it's the world's second most popular place to take your life after the Golden Gate Bridge.
Awesome. Let's make sure we.
I thought you said wife.
Don't.
Also, everyone
Take her to the
gaze.
tar pits.
Everyone gaze deep into the Chihuahua's eyes for good luck.
Oh, I hope someone keep them up there for a little bit. 'cause
Spoiler
I just
alert.
posted the link on Patreon.
Spoiler alert: there's nothing going on behind these eyes except for who's gonna cuddle me next and when can I poop again.
Yeah, who's gonna pick me up because I am always being picked up. Oh, you put the dog down. Now I just said that. It sounds like I'm talking about me.
All right. We gotta get going here. Any other questions about anything, Colin? It's pretty straightforward.
I don't think so. I think I'm all right.
Where do you live? Where are you broadcasting from tonight?
Norristown, Pennsylvania, so right outside of Philly.
Whoa.
All right. Do you mind if we bring that up?
No,
Okay.
by all means.
What are your exact
I was
coordinates?
gonna say, do you want to give everyone your address also, just in case?
Oh, son of a
Yeah,
bitch.
you never
I just
know.
closed the
I could
chat.
use some visitors.
Oh. So are we opting out?
You
of video?
millennials, you're all like, hey, just send him a pin to where I am. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Are we opting out of Colin's video for connection reasons?
Yeah. Well, no, for mic reasons, he couldn't find a mic. So, and the iPhone mic wasn't like reading on the computer, so this is Plan B. But he sounds delightful.
Great.
All right. Off the top, I would like to talk about some trailers. Let me make a quick note here. Conjuring 2, that's a big thing we'll talk about.
Have any of you? I know Eric hasn't, but have
I got some ridiculous fucking trailer too.
have either of you seen Hateful Eight?
Yes.
Yes.
Can we talk about it very briefly? Because also there was a Sophisticult episode on it this week, so that's a good little bump back to the site. Eric, are you cool with that?
Sophistical, yeah. We'll
They did a great job.
You did not hear a single word.
We'll
that I
end
just-
with the Hateful Eight talk then, so that you can talk about Sophistical, douche.
Wow.
No, I'm trying to find this trailer I saw because it was like ridiculous.
Did anyone else get a lot of rom-com trailers?
No, I think I mostly got horror trailers.
I got almost 10 trailers, and one was Nicholas Sparks, and there were at least 2 other like, weird teeny.
Holy
Love-
shit, I did get that Nicholas Sparks trailer. We can talk about that too.
It's very weird.
It's relevant to our audience interests. All right.
Yay.
Sorry, just 1 second here. There's a website that actually just tells you the trailers that are currently in theaters,
Oh, that's nice.
but it doesn't actually look to be current, so forget it.
Also, do any of you watch X-Files?
Yes.
Everyone in my family is currently trying to like reacquaint themselves, so I can just randomly hear the theme song playing in different parts of the house all the time.
Well, if we have time, let's mention that quick. Does that start next week?
January 24th.
I'm starting
I
to
think.
see them out and about. All right, we can mention it for show. All right, I'm ready. If everybody could mute and stand by, please.
Welcome to Bloody Good Horror, covering the best and worst of the horror genre since Halloween 2007. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting, stupendous episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be discussing The Forest, a movie about spooky trees, Mark. I'm the editor-in-chief over at bloodygoodhorror.com. Joining me tonight, he works his magical web fingers to build bloodygoodhorror.com. He also built killer-flicks.com, the greatest pewter app ever made, and he needed more titles, so he's also the managing editor of bloodygoodhorror.com. His name is Mark.
If you go to the website, I by far have the most titles of anyone on the website.
For years I've joked about being the cranky figurehead of Bloody Good Horror, but it has actually happened. I literally am just a powerless monarch at this point.
Right. I like to say I'm the benevolent prime minister.
Right. There you go. Yeah. Good little good cop, bad cop thing going on.
Yeah.
Next up tonight on the show, she comes to us tonight from BGH, the new class. Her name is Sophie.
What up, everyone?
How's it going, Sophie?
Oh, pretty good.
Where you coming at us tonight from, Sophie?
I'm in Delaware,
What?
one of
That
the
sounds
most
boring.
exciting states in the entire country.
Delaware. Hi, I'm from Delaware.
Yeah, it's basically like the Wayne's World scene. Like,
Oh, I was about to say, there's a reference way too old for this crowd. Last up tonight, joining us, a first-timer on the show, another BGH new classer, coming to us from Pennsylvania. We'll say right outside of Philly, maybe. His name is Colin.
Hello, all.
How's it going, Colin?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
How excited are you for your first appearance on the show?
I'm ecstatic.
you
am
sounded, buddy.
I've just been a nervous wreck all day, thinking that somehow I would bring down this fine institution from the inside.
Listen, it could not be any worse than last week. Knock on wood. So, you've been
That sounds like a challenge.
You've been writing reviews for us for how long now?
Reviews only a couple months now. I was doing trailers and lists since June or July.
Very cool. And favorite horror movie off the top of your head?
Blair Witch Project.
Nice. A man after my own heart.
Yes,
Nice.
indeed.
Nice work, buddy. Kissing up on the first day. That's the way to go.
I got notes. Yeah.
I sent him a dossier on you earlier so he can kiss your ass.
It is a new year, and therefore Schnars has made new excuses to abandon his family. Joe's excuse, I'm sure, was fine because he's Joe. Anyway, so we're a little
He
short.
clearly means abandon this family, not
I was
his.
gonna say, are we his family in this scenario?
We are clearly the one and only family. So we're a little short-handed tonight, but that's all right. That's what BGH the new class is for, to bring new and exciting voices.
Last week's episode was so shameful that we just had to back
Man.
off for a week.
It was a bummer because I really... Oh, barking dogs. I really liked that episode, and then I immediately went back and listened to it and was like, oh God, my mic. Oh my God,
I bet
what happened?
you really regret buying the world's loudest keyboard.
Also, like, you probably figured out how many times an episode I... mute and either like cough up phlegm or sneeze or something. It was just, it was not good.
No, but it was a really fun discussion. That movie, we're still joking about that movie to this day, like a week later.
Yeah, it's caused many a meme around the Bloody Good Horror offices, I feel like.
I found the free pizza video on YouTube today, and it's just 4 seconds of Keanu yelling, "It's free pizza, free fucking pizza," and it's my new favorite.
The only
thing.
way that would be better is if like somebody looped it, so it was like 10 hours of Keanu Reeves just
Or
screaming.
like put like a beat behind us, was like free fucking pizza, like over and over again.
Yeah, I think that might work.
That's the thing they do on the internet, right?
When will someone
Absolutely.
make a dubstep remix, Eric?
If I knew anything about how to make music, I might do that. Tonight we're here to talk about The Forest. It's the first theatrical release for us for 2016. Before that movie, we got to some trailers. Nicholas Sparks. Isn't it weird how that guy makes the same movie every time? Literally, it's the same movie. It's unbelievable. Like,
Have you ever seen that? Someone posted. This was like a long time ago, but it was all posters from his movies, and the titles were all changed to "White People Kissing."
Yeah, I mean, like, there's always like I don't know, like a raggedy old beach house somewhere, like on a lake or something, and it's just so.
Somebody will probably end up in the hospital.
I gotta tell you though, the Nicholas Sparks trailer made me only slightly less rageful than the trailer for The Conjuring 2. So do you guys want to talk about that? Go ahead, Sophie.
Sure. Oh, why should I start? I was really looking forward to this trailer because I really, really enjoyed The Conjuring a ton, probably more than maybe anyone else on this podcast. And I just think that this one looks really disappointing, and that might be partially because I just recently was reading about how the Enfield poltergeist was a huge hoax, and that's pretty much agreed on all the way across the board. I don't know, it just seems like if there's no mystery to it at all, I don't really understand why we're telling this story.
Well,
Just
but
like
are,
more
are
of
we
the
sure
same.
though? But we can't be sure that that's where the movie inevitably goes with it either. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, my
that's true.
bigger problem is just and we kind of went over this ad nauseum when the first Conjuring came out, but it's like to use a word I use over email today that Mark really enjoyed it, to lionize the Warrens as like Jesus ghost hunting people is just really bothersome to me, because you read into them and it's like after 2 seconds you're like, oh god, these people are like gross and not very cool. And then it's literally in the trailer, and I don't know if we all saw the same one, but it was like another real case from the real life Warren files. It's real. It was very like fourth kindy. And it's like, really, we're still doing this in 2016. I don't know. It seems very weird to me. Why not just say like inspired by some horseshit, but it's probably fun.
I mean, the real story thing now, like everything's so meta now that the true story thing only makes sense if you're doing it ironically, like like
Sure,
Transformers
sure.
based on a true story.
I don't feel that this is ironic. That's what bugs me.
I feel like we really should take Eric's suggestion, and from now on, all movies should say based on some horse shit that's probably going to be entertaining.
Yeah, whatever. Like Vera Farmiga is going to look down the stairs, and some hands are going to move in front of her face, and you're going to go, that's pretty much a summation of the first film. But well,
Did you guys get the Zoolander 2 trailer? I feel like
Yes.
Yes.
I got all horror and thriller trailers actually.
I don't know how to feel about the Zoolander 2 trailer.
I really want it to be good.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I never saw Anchorman 2, so like I don't really have my finger on the pulse of these like returning comedies from 10 years ago,
Right. Well, it does bring us one step closer to Tropic Thunder 2, so I guess I'm okay with that.
I was going to
True.
say the upside
Yeah.
for me is that this one was at least still written by Ben Stiller and Justin Theroux, who wrote the original and wrote Tropic Thunder. So that makes me feel like hopefully it'll be.
I'm
Good.
really not a Stiller guy. Like, I can't think of Dodgeball and Tropic Thunder are the two Stiller movies that I really like.
So you
And-
did not. How did you feel about the original Zoolander?
Well, I'm sorry. Kind of in the same as like Billy Madison for me. It's just kind of like, well, that was dumb.
Guys, we're almost 10 years out from Grandma's Boy, which means we're due for Grandma's Boy too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No? Just me?
I mean, I would be down for that.
I have recently discovered an enclave of people on the internet who are really into video games and get really angry if you bring up Grandma's Boy because they feel like it like besmirches their favorite pastime. Yeah, I just found that really interesting.
Or it's just really
really
funny.
the best part is how ridiculously hilarious and fake all the like video game making stuff is in that.
I mean, that's the whole point. It was based
Right.
on a true story, you know?
And it was an Adam Sandler movie.
Based on a true story.
Based
Was
on
it really?
Based on a real life Adam Sandler fart.
Yeah, for real.
It smelled exactly the same.
I'm trying I don't know if I saw any trailers that were new besides the Nicholas Sparks one. Like,
You know what? I saw one
trailer
other
for
one.
The Boy again.
The Boy. Okay, I mean, I can't be the only one that's watching that trailer and being like, that might be fun.
I mean,
It's
it's
No,
going
gonna
to
it
be
looks
really
fun.
fun.
Yeah.
it's gonna be funny for sure.
That doll's creepy, man.
It is, but it's also really funny. Like, it's like the least threatening looking doll.
I'm not gonna lie, it gives me the creeps.
Seeing the trailer this time was the first time I noticed that when they cut back to the list over and over again of the rules, one of the rules that they don't zoom in on, so it's kind of out of focus, is clean the traps.
Oh,
What does
wow.
that mean?
I don't know.
Like clean his trap muscles.
You gotta take a little
Dolls,
cloth
Jack.
and you polish up his traps. So that he's
Yeah,
looking
I
good
mean,
for the ladies.
I want to know if it's going to be like Annabelle, where as the movie goes on, like he looks more sinister. He just gets like dirtier and like his face.
You know what though? I think he's better than Annabelle because it taken out of the context, that could be like I guess a sort of normal looking doll, whereas they made Annabelle look so over the top ridiculous
Well,
that
especially
made
like
it
in
so
a room
bizarre.
full of
She's like,
full of dolls. There's clearly one doll that's really sinister.
yeah, and if the real and the sneer quotes real life version of Annabelle was just like a Raggedy Ann doll, that's like 100 times more terrifying.
Right.
So trailers. I got one other trailer for some like horror something property that blew me away with how dumb it was, and I can't remember what it was now, so bummer. Another thing coming up, The X-Files is coming back. I think there was maybe some excitement about this around the BGH offices. I like The X-Files in the sense that anybody who's like around my age in the 90s hears that theme and just goes, oh, that sounds so awesome. But I wasn't really like an every week watching The X-Files kind of person, you know? Sophie, you were just talking about your family catching up.
Yeah, so my dad was a diehard X-Files fan when I was growing up, and then I watched it, I think, in college, and my siblings have not watched it, and so everyone in my house is trying to either catch up or start from square one and get to the end of the show before the new season premieres. And so I'm still home on winter break, and so whenever, like all throughout the day, you'll just hear the theme song coming from different parts of the house, like faintly playing all the time.
I really think too, like, and again, as someone who like didn't watch every episode, dramatic theme songs in TV history, that's got to be number one. Like the only thing I would put near it is probably like Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It is pretty powerful.
Also, just as if I'm putting on my Schnars hat, we reviewed The X-Files, I Want to Believe, in 2008. It's episode 36 of the podcast.
Which you could get as a classic. Right now. A classic if you sign up to be a Patreon member.
Yep.
Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. You could also probably go to podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com and just pick up the single episode too.
You can 100% do that.
I remember like it being an interesting conversation though, because I think we were all like, you know what? This is kind of a decent kind of nothing one-off little thriller movie, but it's not what you wanted, right? Like you wanted aliens and shit.
Yeah, I wish I had some insight to offer, but that was an episode that I didn't watch the movie for.
I remember a surprising amount about that movie, like thinking back on it now.
It was basically just a Freak of the Week episode, wasn't it? But longer.
More or less, yeah. And it sort of, and it kind of brings the two of them back together, but with literally zero revelations about the characters or their lives or like anything other than just like a little moment in the beginning of like, haven't seen you in a while. Oh, you still believe? Cool. Also, Mark Exhibit is in it.
All right.
As an FBI agent. Ghetto bird.
I don't know why you said Exhibit. I like immediately was going to go to the DMX bark and then realize that I was getting ahead of myself. So.
Hey, you want
Speaking of Exhibit, did you all get the Deadpool trailer? Now I'm remembering that I got the Deadpool trailer yesterday.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. X gonna give it to you.
Pretty great.
That was pretty white, huh?
Yeah. It was like a Nicholas Sparks trailer.
I tend to like the really fringe, weird Marvel movies, so I probably will really enjoy Deadpool.
I would like it to do well because I would like to see more like R-rated superhero movies. But
like I liked fucking Ant-Man. Like Ant-Man, no one gave a shit about Ant-Man.
But Ant-Man is way more accessible. What I fear about this is that it's not accessible enough for the wide kind of audience. Now I'm sure they shot it for way cheaper. Like I'm sure it wasn't like made for Avengers money.
No, I would hope
but
so.
they want that thing to make money, and if it doesn't, I'm afraid that'll be the last R-rated superhero movie.
It's kind of like the trailer takes place in like 3 settings, and that's pretty much it. So I do wonder like how small it's going to be relative to all the other Marvel movies. I'm excited for it.
Anything
I'll
that
see it.
gives me more Ryan Reynolds, I'm pretty into.
Also more TJ Miller.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes. 75. So X-Files is coming back. Deadpool coming up. Really quickly, you guys want to talk about Hateful Eight, and then we got to wrap up here and move into the review.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw it and it was awesome.
So yeah, I saw Hateful Eight. It was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
What do you make of the people kind of hating on it?
I mean, to be clear, in my opinion, it is the most Tarantino movie.
Yeah. Newsflash, Mark. People on the internet like to hate on Tarantino.
Well, but it's
News at 11.
I mean, it is. So like, if you look at like Django, like there's like a main character you can hang your hat on. In this, everyone's a piece of shit, and if you think that he is like too talky, you're gonna hate this fucking movie because the entire movie takes place in a cabin with talking. It's basically like Clue inside a cabin.
Well, it's
with head explosions.
It can go either way. Like I really dislike the talking of Death Proof, but to me, like the absolute best scenes of his career are dialogue scenes in Inglourious Bastards. It's like the bar scene in Inglourious Bastards, I think, is one of the greatest things he's ever filmed, and that's just a bunch of people talking. So, could go either way, I guess.
Yeah,
To be
I mean,
fair, sorry, go ahead, Mark.
no, you got.
I was going to say, to Mark's point that none of the characters are likable, I mean, he really tipped his hat with that in the title and kind of told everyone that you weren't going to like any of these characters.
Fair
Right.
point.
He
Yeah.
could have just called it 8 pieces of shit, and
Right. It's not called the Delightful Eight.
right.
I don't know, the stagecoach driver kind of
Oh
wasn't too
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
I kind of felt bad
He
for
was
that
kind of all
guy.
right.
So
I
I'm
kind of
pretty-
felt bad too.
I'm pretty
But
sure I
he
read
was-
a pretty
think he
big
was good.
spoiler about it, and it was my own fault because I was reading an article that
Oh
I shouldn't
yeah,
have been
if
reading.
I did not get any spoilers, thank God, because I would have been fucking
Yeah.
pissed. But the
It
I
had to
feel
do
like
with Sam Jackson's character, let's just say.
yeah, I feel like the stagecoach driver is a sympathetic character by virtue of the fact that he barely talks, so he doesn't really
Yeah,
have
exactly.
to present himself as a piece of shit. So he's really only like identifiable by omission because they didn't really give.
Right, okay.
I did hear that Tarantino's looking to make a horror film next, so I'm pretty into that. I think that could be
Yeah,
a
I
lot
mean,
of fun.
you know, we've certainly like we did. So the reason I want to bring it up is because the latest Sophisticult episode is on it. So if you go to podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com, you can download it there. I believe it's in the main feed also, so you should be able to
Let
get
us
it.
never forget that one Mr. Tarantino almost directed Halloween 6 because he had a really good idea and he was in talks with Dimension about it.
Did
and
it
I
involve runes?
one can only hope.
Um,
Listen, you know me, Mark. I am unironically an apologist for Halloween 6, but I would have rather the Tarantino direct it.
Yeah. I just want to say that if you're, it was 3 degrees in Chicago today, and I was walking around listening to the Hateful Eight soundtrack, and I really felt like I was in
Is
the
it
movie.
good?
It's
Is
so
it-
good.
Is it more of the like spaghetti westerny kind of stuff?
No, it's a really horror score. The composer's the guy that did the score for The Thing.
Okay, cool. And
And he's like
more
90 years old, and he just
Yes.
won the Golden Globe for best score or
Yeah.
whatever in that category. So
Dude's
it's
got it.
really, really good. And also, the random dialogue clips from the movie are like pretty unsettling, peppered in throughout the soundtrack.
Nice.
Because that stuff in isolation just sounds horribly fucking offensive.
Yeah. All right, guys. It's time to do it. Let's take a quick break so we can discuss
But I'm not dressed.
The Forest.
I grab this, and I turn it on, and I say, "Prepare yourself for the Utica Chain Store Massacre."
No, that is incredibly dangerous.
No, don't worry, the chain is off.
No, it's not. Hey guys, this is Danielle Harris. You might know me from some of the Halloween movies, and you're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. Not the prime time, bitch. Main feature.
And we're back. Words, Mark.
Yeah.
I know words too, and unlike Schnars, I actually spend time looking them up for the show. I'm not going to play his bumper, though. I guess we'll pay him respects in that sense. But word of the day today, Okigahara, also known as the Suicide Forest or Sea of Trees, is a 35 square kilometer forest that lies at Mount Fuji's northwestern base in Japan. The forest contains a number of rocky, icy caverns, a few of which are popular tourist destinations. Okigahara Forest is dense, shutting out all but the natural sounds of the forest itself. It has a historic association with demons in Japanese mythology and is a notoriously common suicide site in which 54 took place in 2010 alone. For this reason, a sign at the head of the main trail urges suicidal visitors to think of their families and contact a suicide prevention association. Well, that's horrifying. So, anyway, there's more on Wikipedia about suicides and stuff, but as we mentioned in previous episodes, this is kind of a, you might say, based on a true phenomenon, Mark,
Sure. 2 things.
of
One,
having goth twins.
we both just said at the same time, and I wonder how that's going to sound on the episode.
You won't be able to tell.
But also,
It'll just
in
be
John's
slightly louder.
You know, I know you were all excited about your word of the day, but I'm not sure that we allow proper nouns as words of the day.
I do what I want, I think is the answer to that.
Yeah. So, but you know, good. I like the build up and the I like the background because it's actually super important to how
Yeah.
we all feel about this movie.
Of course. How do you feel about a synopsis, Mark, or do you want me to do it? You know what? I'm going to do it.
Yeah,
I'm
please
just gonna
do.
do it.
I'm so bad at synopses.
Although I don't remember really how this movie started, so that's a problem. Oh, yes, I do. Okay. All right.
They're battling for the Iron Throne.
Natalie Dormer. Natalie Dormer. It's a nice looking lady. She has a handsome boyfriend. They live in a very nice apartment. She has a dream where she sees spooky things in a forest or something. And she wakes up and she's freaking out. Turns out she has a goth twin who lives in Japan, and they have like Spidey twin sense with each other, and something goes wrong. And the boyfriend makes some comment about how, like, you're always bailing her out. Don't do this, whatever. She's like, no, I got twin sense. I got to go. So she gets on a plane. She goes to Japan. She starts tracking her down. Her sister, I don't know that we know her sister's goth at this point, by the way. We just find that out later. It seems to be like a key plot point. So, because all sad people are goth. So what happens is her sister was teaching English in a Japanese school. She goes to the school. Some kid kind of freaks out and points at her and screams because I think they had heard that she went to the suicide forest, so they thought, seeing her twin, they thought it was like a ghost coming back.
Just a ghost that dyed her hair.
A ghost just casually walking into their classroom to say what's up.
The teacher seems to introduce to them as well, and
so
kind of good with it.
She gets pointed towards this forest where people commit suicide, and basically like everybody who's in the know in this like Japanese town is like, look, if she went there, she's probably dead. So you shouldn't go get her because you will die too. The forest will make you see stuff and it will be bad. So she goes to the forest because this is a horror movie, and they basically tell her, look, you can't go in there alone. So she's all sad. She's at the bar. She meets a big, hunky, handsome guy. I don't know this guy's name. He's popping up in a lot of random places in the last couple of years. Like, I recognized him.
Taylor Kinney.
Okay. Just steely blue eyes and like salt and pepper hair. He's got a whole thing going on. Anyway, so
I think his name is Biff Musselman.
Yeah. He chats her up at the bar, and lo and behold, we find out that he's a travel writer from Australia who is American. So figure that out. He is there to meet a guide who does off the books like checks every weekend. Like, he walks these trails and tries to find if people are suicided so that he can. By the way, Mark, my entire life, every time I say the word suicide, I hear the noise from Contra when the guy dies. It's like, yeah, just the two things are linked in my head. Anyway.
That's really weird.
It's like that. When I think of death of any kind, I hear the Contra noise. Like that, because that noise just says dead to me. Like, oh, he's dead. You heard that
Insight
noise?
into Eric's brain.
Yeah, it's weird.
Super weird.
So he says, like, hey, I'm going out with this guy tomorrow. You can tag along. That way it'll be safe. We'll all be together, whatever. They go out in the forest, and they find a tent. As they're in the forest, spooky stuff happens. Spooky. They find a tent. It's her. She goes, that's my sister's tent. As if, like, Mark, if I saw a random tent in the woods, I'd be like, hey, that's Mark's tent, because I know what Mark's tent looks like. That's
Mark's tent. Yeah. That looks like all the other tents that anyone's ever bought from Target.
Yeah, but they set it up earlier so you knew that they owned the only yellow tent in the world.
All the other tents ever owned in the entire universe ever look exactly the same. Anyway, that was a funny little moment. So they hang out for a couple hours. It's getting dark. They're like, we got to go. She says, no way. I'm having twin Spidey sense. I know she's alive. I know she's in these woods. And I'm staying. So hunky McSquarejaw guy eventually just goes, all right, you're pretty hot. I'm going to stay with you in this forest. And
out of the goodness of my heart.
And that's where it starts. Like, they wake up in the middle of the night. Immediately, like, shit's going down. She sees, like, some schoolgirl. She gets dragged out. She starts running off in the woods, which you should probably not do at night. So that's kind of the setup. And then from there, we get this neat thing where the forest is kind of making them both hallucinate a little bit. It's hard to tell really where the line is, and making them distrust each other. They're trying to find the sister, and there's other people sort of trying to find them. And of course, Mark, as you do, we learn some things about ourselves along the way. How do you think? Was that all right?
Yeah, great job.
So that's the forest. Mark, why don't you tell me what you thought about this movie?
Oh boy. I disliked it. I had like surprisingly high hopes for it, because I thought that the setting was really cool. Like, we're talking about something like The Conjuring 2, and like, it doesn't matter what the setting is. It's just like white people and ghosts. Like, we know what's going to happen, right? And the whole concept of this, the fact that while not based on a true story, it's based on something that is like a unique setting in horror and a real thing that's actually pretty terrifying, I thought was really great. And I just feel like it kind of cheapens all of the goodwill it has at like every pass. Like, the scares are not really related to the setting in any way. They float a lot of stuff like these the tape or rope that people put on the trees so that they can like follow it back in case they change their mind. They like put that up and then never do anything with it. There are dream sequences that just happen out of the blue that are like so divorced from reality you don't think they're anything but dream sequences. Like the scares all seem like they're from like a fucking haunted house or just from like stock footage
Five
of
Nights at
ghost
Freddy's.
movies. Just seriously, like just way worse than jump scares. You know, we often like rag on cheap jump scares, but these look like they're like pasted in from a different movie. And I just it's just kind of laughable in parts. You know, it forces you to connect a lot of dots and just doesn't really give you anything. So I was just like super disappointed in it and just kind of at the end like not into it at all.
All fair things. You say disappointed. Were you like super looking forward to it?
I mean, I just, I just thought it was a unique setting. So I thought that there was, and in the trailer you see this like ghost of a dude that like hung himself with a fucking sack over his head, which while a little contrived was just like a really cool visual. And I was expecting a lot of that. And there was just nothing like that was the coolest ghost related thing in the entire
It's
movie.
worth pointing out too, this was actually, at least the original screenplay was written by David Goyer, which I like blew my mind. Although it definitely feels like a movie that then like a studio took their own pass on and studioified it.
I mean, that's exactly what it feels right? Like that's exactly what it feels like is that
it's a little too rote in places.
Well, yeah, definitely. Like they just had to fill in the blanks with a bunch of bullshit, and to me, it just kind of ruined it. So yes. I loved it. I really loved it.
Sophie.
So I kind of left this movie. I am still at a place where I take notes when I watch movies so I don't forget things I want to talk about, especially when they're movies that make me upset. So I felt like most of my notes from watching this movie were like a list of all of the really terrible horror movie tropes happening. For example, protagonist makes all of the stupidest decisions that she could possibly make all of the time, which was really frustrating. I mean,
it's because forest.
But I mean, even before she gets into the forest, she gets to wherever she's going to stay and just decides that the best course of action would be to walk alone down this rural road through the woods at night when she's just gotten to Japan, which seems like not a smart idea. So I feel like from the setup to me, she just didn't seem like a character that I wanted to root for because she was doing really dumb stuff.
For what it's worth, too, why wouldn't... So she parks her car and then walks however much distance up the road and then comes to a hotel. And I immediately thought, like, why wouldn't she just drive the car all the way to the hotel? Because she's still on the road.
Yeah.
Cheaper parking.
Yeah.
So that didn't make any sense.
You don't get a
to
spooky
me.
walk, I guess, is the answer.
Right. And then, I mean, it's already been brought up, but the idea that there has to be, like one female character who has all of her shit together and then one who's really goth and edgy, and having that played by the same person made that line so much more ridiculous.
I will say, like, you should... No single non-twin should ever be allowed to play a twin in a movie, especially if unless you don't know who they are. Like,
right.
When I first saw The Social Network, and I went, "Oh wow, those twin dudes are really good," and then you go back and see it now that you know, and you're like, "This is so distracting." And I felt that way about this movie. And also,
well, I mean,
there was clearly like at least in The Social Network, they're doing a lot of like digital compositing to have them interacting with each other. I swear to God, every single scene with the two of them was just over the shoulder shots with like body doubles.
I mean, this is just like it's a literal palette swap. Like they just changed
like
her,
it was like a Scorpion and Sub-Zero
her hair
kind of
color
Yeah.
and put different makeup on her, which makes it funnier. Like if they had her dressed the same, it would be distracting, but perhaps not in the same way. This is just feels so silly.
Yeah,
like,
it did.
What if her twin was a guy? What if they were fraternal twins?
Would be way more interesting. Yeah, it was weird.
It actually would have. Yeah, I just stumbled upon the answer.
Jamie Lannister from Game of Thrones, you get him as the twin.
What if her twin is the kid from The Burning? And she has to rescue him from the forest again because he's lost.
Sure.
Ooh.
I don't know. I think all around, I think Mark really hit the nail on the head that just there were so many things that didn't really make sense. Like one thing that kind of got glossed over in the synopsis, but was a real sticking point for me is that it's not the way her student knew that she went to the forest is that they went to Mount Fuji on a field trip and she left the field trip to wander off the path into the forest. And Homegirl had like a tent and a bag of clothes.
That didn't tip him off?
Right, exactly. That she apparently took with her on a school field trip and wandered off into the
I'm
woods.
just planning a side trip.
Also, I refuse to believe there's anything wrong with the synopsis, for the record.
No. I don't think there's anything wrong with the synopsis. I think that was a
No, I honestly, I didn't even like that thread did not even occur to me until you brought it up over email. Because I don't know why. I don't know what was happening. I might have been distracted because I was in one of those theaters with food now. So like the first 20 minutes of the movie, I just hear people like eating burgers and I smell French fries and stuff. It's kind of weird, like especially
Crinkling, just ripping bags.
Yeah, it was like,
shit.
especially at horror movies, it's an odd thing. Also, because there's limited seats, I had this problem again where I went to go see this movie and it was sold out at 11 a.m. on Sunday morning. It was sold out because there's only like 30 seats. But even 30 people in the theater Sunday morning blew my mind.
That is impressive,
especially for this movie. I don't know. So I guess just the way I can sum up how I felt about this movie, and I think I've said this on the podcast before about something else, and I don't remember what it was this movie felt like they took really iconic scenes from other movies and put them all together and shook them up and then didn't realize that they were doing it. There were so many scenes that felt like direct ripoffs to things like The Descent or The Grudge or Drag Me to Hell. And there didn't seem to be any awareness. It seemed like the directors just felt like, oh, I had this great idea without realizing that great idea came from them watching something else.
Colin, what do you think?
Yeah, I went into this with probably too high of hopes, I think. So, we talked a little bit about in
what
the
planet
emails.
do all you guys live on? That's what I want to know. Where you were like, man, I can't wait for this forest movie.
I was optimistic going in just because it was sort of a throwback to those early Asian-inspired horror remakes and things, and I enjoyed that take on ghost stories. I thought, we haven't seen it in a few years, so it was going to be something fun that we could kind of double back to and, be something different. And then as the movie sort of played out, I realized they're taking a lot of shortcuts. And it's the type of thing that you can usually gloss over if you're still getting some fun scares or you're getting some laughs or anything. But I just felt like I wasn't getting the scares or anything. And so all I could focus on was, I didn't even pick up on the tent plot hole. I was really concerned when she announced that they were just wandering the woods, picking trails at random. I thought that seemed like a confusing strategy to take in such a allegedly dangerous place. So yeah, when I walked out of the theater, I was thinking, 4 or 5 maybe would be the review I would give it. But then my list of annoyances, kind of like what Sophie was saying, just kind of kept getting longer and longer. And the things that I liked about it started getting kind of plateaued pretty early on. And a lot of the things that I liked were sort of stuff they'd already borrowed from the true story or the stuff that actually happens in the forest. So I started thinking, maybe this wasn't that great. So I think I knocked it down to a 3.
Wow. It's harsh, bro.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, nothing you guys are saying is like really wrong. I think like academically
but here's why it's wrong.
I can't wait to hear
academically for purposes of episode 361 of Bloody Good Horror, I would like to just offer maybe a little bit of a devil's advocate. This and I went into this movie with literally 0 expectations, which the listener of this show, if they haven't seen it, would also now have the luxury of. So I think that's something. Allow me to lower your expectations. This is like not a great film, but I was fairly entertained by it. It does feel like it's pretty rote. It feels oddly like a remake of a J horror movie, like a remake of a remake. We just haven't seen something like this in American theaters in a while. So I like Natalie Dormer a lot. I think she's pretty decent. I do think the twin thing is ridiculous. Hunky dude should probably just not talk that much because he's not a super great actor. What I really like about this movie is that the one aspect of what they're trying to do that I actually think they do really well is give the forest like a feeling, a very distinct feeling. Like they spend the time and they do the little things, like having this very intense sound design where like you're just constantly hearing the leaves and the water kind of around them, and they just stop and take the time to have you notice that stuff, because that's a big part of it. And I like the angle. I like the part of the script that basically has the forest misleading them into distrusting each other. If there's a criticism there, it's mainly that it doesn't illuminate a lot of what's going on by the end, so you're not really sure really what happened by the end. And there's also this twist, which I don't know if we even have to talk about. Maybe we talk about it later, but
It's such a like wet fart of a twist.
Well,
I don't even think it
but
warrants
it's not a
talking.
twist though. That's my point. Like, it tells you this fact at the end of the first act, like maybe even in the first act somewhere. And so it becomes a twist for her character. Now there is a very, very end twist, which very much felt like
Yes, there is
M.
an
Night
elusive
like
double
if-
twist.
Yeah, the double twist felt like the Gremlins 2 guy from the Key and Peele sketch walked by the room and went twist, and then that was it, and like that. So, but
It's in the movie.
I think that I call it a twist because it is normally a plot point that you would find out at the end of the movie. To me, I found it interesting what that does for her character, and I think that gives her an interesting character arc. So I guess we can just say it because you find it out early, right? Is that fair? The first twist?
Seems
I
fair.
think that's fair, and I have a question about it.
Okay,
Is
so
this the
Explain it
parent
first.
twist?
what you find out, and really early in the movie, like I swear to God, it's first act. She is telling somebody about that her parents died when she was a kid, and she's telling the story verbally of the fact that her parents were outside, they got hit by a car, but they do this thing that I thought was actually kind of neat. While she's telling this story, you're seeing a flashback of an entirely different thing happening. And what you realize is that she doesn't really know what happened because she was kind of shielded by her grandmother. What really happened was that her mother and father had a basically domestic violence-y type of incident that ended in a murder-suicide. And what happened was she was kind of shielded and didn't see her sister. Her sister saw what happened. And so now as a viewer, you understand, like, okay,
Origin of a Goth.
but forget the goth part for a second because obviously that's cliche. But the broader point is that her sister has been troubled her whole life and has sort of had emotional issues she's dealing with. And you now as a viewer know, all right, it's because of that. You know what I mean? Like that's why the sister has her issues, and the sister who's our main character doesn't know any of it, and so that's kind of her personal journey throughout the movie, is coming to a point eventually where she learns this. And then what that turns into is basically I think maybe on some level you could argue she always knew something of it, only because she has all this guilt and she feels this need to look after her sister to an extreme degree. Right. I mean that might be a little bit of a stretch, I guess, but so I honestly, like, I thought that was an interesting kind of story arc, and specifically the fact that you find that out so early and you find out before the character is kind of it just gives it a different thing, I guess, and accelerates the story a little faster because you're not having just the basic story and getting that at the end, you know what I mean? So then that kind of colors all the interactions through the rest of the movie.
So here was my question about this, because I read that whole interaction entirely differently when I saw the movie. Because when she's telling the story, she's telling it to the reporter who she has just agreed can write a story about her looking for her sister. So for me, I thought what was happening was that she didn't want to tell him, like if this is going to be in some kind of article that's going to be published widely, she didn't want to tell him what really happened to her parents because it's shameful. The way that it was shot read to me that that's what was happening. And so later and also because in the flashbacks, she's right there and she doesn't see anything, but she does go into the basement. So I had a hard time buying that.
Well, that is weird because in her story, she's saying we went
6.
outside. But I just
Right.
kind of
Right.
chalked it up to, like, you're so young that you sort of, your memories at that point, at some point in your life, your memories of that age, even though they still exist, like, who knows how rooted in reality they actually even are, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I think by the time we got to the reveal that she was learning it, I figured out that's what was supposed to be happening,
Right,
but I
right.
didn't get that at all in the beginning of the movie. So I was really confused when she
Yeah.
was confused.
I mean, I was also while I agree with Eric that it was a relatively clever choice to do that, I don't feel like it was particularly well done. Like I felt like it was really sort of disjointed, and then later I came to understand it. It was just, I don't know. I don't
must
know
have
what
been
it
on
was.
my game to this day, Mark. I was on fleek, figuring
You
shit
must
out.
have just been like in control and understanding everything.
Took my ginkgo biloba that morning.
Yeah, it must have been. For
I
focus.
did think the way they shot it was cool, but I just totally misinterpreted what
Yeah.
was happening.
So
but
anyway,
I thought switching back and forth was cool.
But I really like the idea of and maybe maybe it's because I did pick it up, but I like the idea of having a character tell a story while I'm seeing something different, because then you start going like, oh, what's going on here? And only because like that's normally the twist. That's normally the thing you would find out in the third act all at once in a giant info dump. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's whatever. It's not amazing. It's just I had such low expectations, and it did something different in that respect. The other thing I really enjoyed, like I said, was the interaction between her and Beefy Guy in the woods. And like you never really I don't think you ever really figure out exactly what his deal is, other than maybe if you take it on face value, like maybe he really did just follow her out there because he thought she was hot and he wanted to help her out because, like, you know, helping out hot ladies. But at certain points in the movie, like, you think there's something super, super sinister going on with him, and it seems, at least to a large extent, that the forest is tricking her.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real payoff for that.
It's a little Blair Witchy.
Is it?
Well, yeah, because they're walking around the forest and like they can't get out. Like, they're showing how people are using string to try to like mark their way through the forest because it's basically disorienting them to the point where they can't escape.
Yeah,
that's
but I
totally
don't think,
Blair Witchy.
I don't think that they sold that aspect of it though. Like, to Colin's point, if you read his review, which I did, there's no, they're telling you and not showing you that this is this crazy sprawling forest you can get lost in, because like every time someone's in a situation where they're lost, they're immediately found. Like she falls in a fucking pit. She falls in a pit in the middle of nowhere, and this guy somehow finds her like 10 minutes later. And it's just like, it's stuff like that, which
Yes. But I also thought that scene was cool. Like, I thought as the stuff that goes down when she's down in there, I thought was
no, totally. But I'm saying, like, so I guess
also there's no way he just like throws that rope down and just goes, oh, yoink, and just pulls a full human being up out of that hole.
He just deadlifts an entire human.
Like, I know dude lifts, but that is not possible.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I thought she was gonna die in there, and then she just doesn't.
So that is why this movie's interesting to me, though, because it does very much have a like a cliched script that feels a little half-baked, and yet to me there's aspects of this movie, I feel like the director has talent, and there's aspects that I feel like were done really well. Sure. It's kind of hampered by some like faulty logic and some threads that kind of don't go anywhere, but it's not like we've seen movies in this ilk that were much, much worse, I guess, is my only point.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I can agree with that. Aside from like the weird kind of dream sequences, I would say that for being like littered with every shortcut, which is as much a writing fault as it is a directing fault, it's a pretty well directed film. Like, it looks nice, and it's at a decent pace. It's almost at the pace is almost like too good. It's like a little too convenient that all of these things are kind of wrapped up the way they are. So if I could say anything positive, I would say that. But
I do also think that Japanese squirrel girl was like the scariest thing I've seen in a long time. When she starts like creepy smiling, you're like, whoa, that's not okay.
That's what I was going to say. The scares that weren't CGI, I thought were effective and did a lot for the atmosphere. Like the weird bad guy that they used was good when they used him. And that girl was super creepy. But then they added CGI and it wasn't as good.
Right. Do actual school children in Japan still dress like that? Is that a thing that's still happening?
Probably. I don't know. Do they sleep on floors? That's
no,
weird.
I seriously want to know. I want to know.
Do they eat shrimp that are still moving? Actually, that is a thing. I've seen that before. But
yeah, what a weird. That was like literally the only joke in the entire movie, and it was such a bad joke. It was
is
like
it a joke?
I mean,
guess
the way
it's kind
she
of a joke because they're laughing at her.
It's definitely a joke,
but it's more
felt really misplaced.
It's more, I think, at that point in the movie, though. I think it's about. I'm not saying it's like the most
like a fish out of water.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's about showing you how out of her. Oh, but you're right though. That's what it's about, showing you that she's now in this place that she doesn't understand, trying to find her sister, and. That there's the whole first act is about all these roadblocks she's up against. Like, she doesn't speak the language, that she doesn't believe in the spiritual stuff, and so nobody will even like entertain her because they're just like, you just don't go in the forest, man. I don't know why you're confused about that.
Even the fucking living shrimp in the sushi restaurant was CG.
He's like, don't go in the forest.
Like you can't go buy a live shrimp for like 30 cents from somewhere.
That would be animal cruelty, Mark. I bet I'm not joking.
Just set it on the table and have her like very briefly poke it with a chopstick.
It's chopped in half though. It's filleted.
Yeah, the head was off.
Yeah. That was just like a part of the body. That's why it was gross. It was, you know. It was like separated. It was like a deconstructed shrimp, let's call it. I honestly think
I'll give you that point.
I honestly think you maybe could not do that to make a movie. Is my guess, but I could be wrong.
Honestly,
I
don't think you could flay a live shrimp.
There's laws against that stuff. So I don't know, man. It's like, you know, average movies need love too.
It had its upsides. I feel like the interactions that she had with the woman at the visitor center were like interesting and funny. The woman who was like, "Oh, none of these bodies are your sister. Just come back later. We'll find more bodies."
Yeah, come down to the basement. Check out my collection of dead bodies.
Can we get a fact checker on this? Is that a real thing? Like, is there really a house where they just post the bodies of the people that commit suicide?
I'm gonna guess no. Also, if you find one in the forest, I'm gonna guess that they don't just cut him down from a tree and sling him over their freaking shoulder. That scene literally. So that's the guy too. That's not even like the guide. That's the travel writer, hunky guy. They find a body when they first go out on the trail, and he's like, "Oh, let's get him down." I'm like, "Wait, what? Why would just put a marker in it like my dad does when his dog poops? Stick a marker there and come back later." Instead, they chop it down, and he like slings this decomposed, rotting body over his shoulder, and everyone in my audience went, "Oh no!" Like there was an audible.
But they weren't going to take him anywhere, so why'd they take him down?
There was an audible groan. Yeah, exactly. Like, let's get this guy on the floor so things can eat him.
I guess for maybe as a respect or honor thing, I don't know. That
lay him in the ground.
I'm also very surprised that for a film that's like so focused on this, like people committing suicide and like unrestful spirits or whatever, why wasn't there more of that? Like that moment, while it doesn't make any fucking sense in isolation, was like pretty gross. And she like barely sees any other dead bodies in the forest.
I disagree. I think there's some more. There's other random dead bodies stuff she sees.
Is there?
Yeah.
Are there?
There's at least one more.
At least one more.
Yeah. That could be more. That could mean 2 or 3.
In a movie about the suicide forest, there's one. It's just I don't know, man.
I
honestly
really liked the idea of it tricking her visually to like moments where she's about to do something, or like, don't do that. Like this.
The bit with the stream was interesting.
You should have gone that way.
That was great.
The stream, and she looks down and she opens up her wound. Which, first of all, PSA for Bloody Good Horror fans: if you have a gaping wound on your hand, do not wash it off in fresh water. That is how you get the flesh-eating virus. Literally. Like, that is
the flesh-eating
how you get it. Don't
the more
do
you
that.
know.
That's how you get Japanese Watts
Anyway,
disease.
she's bent down at this thing, and she's going to wash off her cut from earlier in the film. And when she pulls her bandage off, she's got maggots on her cut, which, first of all, I thought, that's good because they actually prevent infection because they eat the dead flesh. That's another fact.
What a nerd.
But then it shows them crawling under her skin, and then I was like, nope. And she likes like, oh, I have this giant butcher knife. I guess I should probably try to cut them out of my arm. And she's like about to do it's kind of well done.
I actually thought that was one of the best moments in the whole movie, because it was one of the only moments where it was like very clear that she was hallucinating and that she was going to perhaps accidentally harm herself.
So like that reminded me of
that was pretty well done.
Oculus, which, if you really like that concept, is a movie that nails it from beginning to end.
Right, because Oculus very clearly from the beginning is like you can't trust anything that happens, and I feel like this
it's that really taken to like the end, like as absurd.
Well, this doesn't really commit to that concept in full. Like it's like there's I don't know.
It does come back around, Mark.
I kind of. But if we're comparing this to Oculus, I just think Oculus was such a better movie.
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Sophie, you're like one of those weirdos who doesn't like Oculus, right?
Not a fan.
I seem to remember that about you.
Not a fan.
You don't like Disney guy?
That's how many times you've been on now that I remember movies you don't like that I do like.
I feel so honored. There's that and whatever Freddy 5 is.
Yeah, but that's not a good, like, Oculus is actually a good movie. I don't know. Should we talk about the very, very ending, I guess? I think, let me get the spoiler alert graphic here. Mark, you want to spoiler alertist?
No.
You don't have to do it in your normal.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, there you go. Understated. I like it.
Yeah, thank you.
I would like to
want...
say very quickly that this entire show, I've had this animated GIF up of Natalie Dormer next to a picture of Lady Bugs Bunny from the what's that movie?
Space Jam.
Space Jam movie.
Space Jam. Her name is Babs.
And they look exactly the same, and it's incredible. So
I can't unsee it. I saw it like a couple months ago, and I seriously can't unsee it now.
Oh yeah. I do like Natalie Dormer a lot. Like I like her on Game of Thrones. She's good.
She's great on that show.
I do have to nitpick that I didn't think she was that good in this movie. The scene where she thinks she's going back into her childhood basement and she's realizing what's happening and she gets really scared was so horribly acted that it was hard not to laugh.
I mean, to be fair, Queen sass.
The acting for like characters of her sort on Game of Thrones is very kind of like theatrical and almost silly. So it does not translate well to like a super
I mean,
dry...
Game of Thrones is a soap opera.
Right. So
but as someone who also watched the Hunger Games movies, spoiler alert, she's fine in those movies.
She okay in those? She's got Skrillex hair in those movies.
She does.
And
lots
of Hunger Games movies also, I've only seen the first one, but aren't they kind of similarly like theatrical and over the top? Or am I just making that up?
Yes.
Is that just my old guy perspective of like what?
Hunger Games?
The kids in their Hunger Games and their...
They have theatrical elements, we'll say.
Yeah.
All right, I just took us down a road that I was not prepared to walk on myself. Really need to go.
Stay on the path, Mark.
All right.
Stay on the path.
Spoiler alert: the twist. So there's this scene that I actually really liked where they end up in this creepy cabin, and I guess it's not even hallucination, which we'll get to in a second.
Cabin
but
in the woods.
She actually comes to believe that this guy has kidnapped her sister and is keeping her in this cabin. And this cool little moment where she's whispering to her through a door. And it's all like the nature of reality, I guess, reveals itself. But this one moment that I thought was a great little piece of writing where as whatever is on the other side of that door is saying to her, like, he's got me, he's going to kill us both, you got to kill him, whatever. And she goes, okay. And she goes to turn around. And for a very split second, you hear whatever's on the other side of that door go, please be real, please be real. And I was like, oh God, that's so good. Because like that messes with your head. Because what if she's the apparition and like this other, it's this whole thing. So, did you catch that, Mark?
I did.
You're looking at
that
me.
Was cool.
You're looking at me facetiously.
No, that's just me staring at my computer screen, reading tweets that are coming up.
So anyway, the big twist that's revealed in the end is that you go back to the scene where she was at the river and we see her about to cut at her wrists, and what we learn is that she actually did, right? No, I'm sorry. Twist.
Oh, wait,
here's another twist.
Sorry. I just want to point out for people who are not watching the video feed that Sophie just put her finger up to like shush Eric.
No,
Queen
sorry.
Of sass.
What happens is she eventually has a kind of like memory suicide flashback or whatever, where she goes back to her childhood and sees what actually happened and realizes that, oh shit, like, this is why my sister's been messed up my whole life. And while in this like dream scene, her father, who has just killed himself, like comes back to zombie life and attacks her and is holding her arm, and she's stabbing at his hand trying to get it off. And then basically there's a reveal where you see she's just like gutting her wrist, basically just like stabbing at her wrist, and kills herself. And then eventually, I don't even remember how it happens, right? But we do all of a sudden, she's running through the forest, and then in front of her, like in her path, starts running her twin sister. And we're kind of following both of them. We don't really know what's happening. The twin sister runs into the arms of like searchers who are now there. And then she's about to like run up too. And then a ghost stands in her way and is like, oh no, you don't. And then you realize that's when you get the flashback to the forest just like tricked her into killing herself. And she is now dead, and she is now amongst the forest people for the rest of her life.
I will say that the concept and some of the execution of the twin twist, or the twinst as I like to call it, I thought that was good, as insofar as this movie is, it's fine. The thing that ruined it for me, which I'm sure I can't imagine any of you enjoyed either, is that this fucking ghost thing at the end, like if you've ever watched one of those YouTube videos where something comes out and scares you, like you're looking at like the maze or like a landscape, and it pops up and screams at you. I'm not kidding. I'm pretty
Stare
sure
at these
this
pictures
was
for 5 minutes and tell me what's different
right.
about them.
I'm pretty sure that this was from one of those videos, and like that, it's not like
Yeah,
it's not like that's not a thing that we haven't seen before, because it's actually
the scares are
it's
pretty
actually
cheap.
the most popular way to kind of end these movies now. Is like, you think it's over, but let's throw this in. But for some reason, I don't know why, this one looked so much cheaper and so much worse
Okay,
than any
so-
of those I've ever
But you're
seen.
They
talking
out-baguled
specifically
Bagul.
though about the one that takes you into credits.
Correct.
Yes, they now I think somebody I was going on this week. We have multiple Urban Dictionary entries from things we've done on the show. I think that there should be some kind of word for like bagooling. Like that's bagooling when you have to pop up at the end and go boo, and then it's cut
I
to
would
black.
describe it as bagoolish.
Yeah.
They
And
outdid
that's-
Bagul, I would say.
But I thought the actual thing, the moment of the reveal, was kind of cool, like where the ghost steps in front of her, because you realize like it's this immediate visual nod of like, okay, she can't leave the forest because she's dead and she is a forest person now. I was
What do you
also
mean, forest person?
I was not sold on the boyfriend who's now flown out to Japan, because we get a line earlier. He leaves her phone message. He's like, "Look, I don't want you going to this forest. If you don't get back to me, I'm coming out there." And he does eventually. There with the search team, and like he's pretty happy that they found the twin sister, but like seemed to only mildly put out that his wife is now missing.
I think there's like a subtext that he like originally wanted to date the twin sister, but he ended up with the lesser
Like
twin.
I half expected there to be a
Did that
credit
happen
sequence.
to you at some point, Mark? That seems like you're projecting.
I felt like there's gonna be a credit sequence where he was just like, "So do you want to just like switch? Like, do you want to just come live with me now?" Or
How do you feel about dyeing your hair blonde?
yeah,
I felt like so. This, for me, the ending, the bagooling scene at the end was very similar to Unfriended, where the ending would have been so much more powerful if it ended with the guide, Michi, looking out into the woods, and he could kind of see her as an apparition standing out in the trees. That would have been a way more interesting ending than the face flying
sure.
at the screen.
It's funny too, as I come back to like our discussion at the beginning about if you had, instead of making her goth twin sister, if you had just made it like a twin brother, that would have been this whole different dynamic that could have made it less cheesy and more interesting. I also think like, because actually Oculus, they're not twins, but it's a brother and sister, and there's something really interesting about that dynamic that's different from other sibling relationships that like I think could add something.
I mean, it also
more.
is that, you know, they're in the movie together the whole time, the brother and sister in Oculus, so they are able to kind of like interact with each other in these different ways.
In all
and
fairness, Natalie Dormer is in this movie with herself the entire time.
I think the
That's a
lack
great point. She is in fact herself. That I can confirm.
the lack of Jess, the twin sister, the goth girl, really doesn't do the movie any favors. So when you have the big twist at the end, it sort of feels kind of hollow, right? Because one of them makes it out, one of them doesn't. You're like, okay.
They actually don't really play with.
At least one of them didn't make it out, right? The super Hollywoody thing would have just been they're both fine.
Well, they don't really play with as much as you would expect them to. I thought they didn't, like Eric was talking about the scene with the cabin. They're like, oh, she's locked up in the cabin or whatever. You don't really see too many hints of the twin sister throughout the movie. I don't think. Maybe I'm just like misremembering it. But for
I don't even think you're
about
positive she's alive, other than that the twin keeps telling you, "I know she's alive."
Because that's how twins work.
So it
Twin powers.
does seem a little, again, sort of cheap to just kind of like introduce her right at the end. I don't know. It just seemed, I don't know.
Right. They could. Yeah, I agree. I guess I get that. I do think though there is actually like a fairly clean symmetry with the line of basically, you know, her sister's had this burden her entire life, and so at the end of the movie she saves her sister, but the only way she can do that really is to like assume all of this burden at once on herself, which means killing herself. That's weird and pretty heavy, but I think that they actually do a decent job of tying that thread through the film.
I mean, as decent of a job as you can do in a movie like this, I will give you that.
Sure. Fine, Mark. I'm too tired to fight anymore. What's Movie Guide?
Oh my God, Movie Guide is my favorite website that won't stop popping up notifications on my computer. It's movieguide.org is the URL.
I'm gonna guess they did not like this movie. There was a lot of occult things.
Oh, well, it's very interesting. I will read it, but it is a site a Christian leaning website that reviews movies for their objectionable content. If you're trying to keep your impressionable children away from it, so when there's mainstream movies, we like to read it because it has this great stream of consciousness quality about it. And there are some spoilers in here, so as long as the spoiler alert graphic is still up, I'm just gonna go ahead and read it.
Alert.
The Forest includes strong, slightly mixed pagan worldview where main characters refuse to believe in a spiritual world, but local Japanese, sounds racist, believe in evil spirits that target people and cause them to have violent hallucinations, but some moral acknowledgement of evil. Plus one joke with homosexual innuendo, 11 profanities and obscenities, very strong. Violence includes a man stabbed in the heart and suffers for several minutes before dying. Woman accidentally cuts her wrist with a knife and bleeds to death. Several scenes where skeletons or rotting bodies that have committed suicide hang from the trees in the forest. A decomposing body is briefly shown in a morgue. Implied murder and suicide by shotgun, showing the dead bodies in the aftermath. A dead body shown floating down the river. No sex, no nudity. A couple scenes show characters drinking beer in a bar. One brief joke about hiding a drug stash. And characters lie to each other. And several scenes imply a grandmother lied to her grandchildren about their parents' death. And that's it.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It's all grandma's fault.
Apparently, Movie Guide saw the version Eric saw that had way more skeletons and dead bodies.
Skeletons and dead bodies.
See? Whatever. You guys just weren't paying attention.
Should have put out extra money for the extra skeleton version.
Would you recommend this movie, Mark?
No.
Sophie?
I would recommend it for the awesome drinking game I'm going to make when it comes out on DVD.
Colin?
Nah, if you catch it on cable and you don't feel like getting up and changing the channel, getting the remote on the other side of the room, sure, there's worse things you can watch, but otherwise, stay away.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid recommendation. Like,
if you're bedridden,
endorsement.
I wouldn't actively recommend this film as to push it into someone else's personal space and make them watch it. But if you happen to find it in your personal space, I think you could do worse. How's that?
Seems fair.
All right, guys. Ringing endorsement from the Bloody Good Horror crew. Let's take a quick break here and do some fan mail.
Friday, the 13th, 1980, was a very unlucky day for the counselors at Camp Crystal Lake. The girl who survived that night disappeared 12 months later, vanished. On Friday, the 13th, 1981, the body count continues. Friday the 13th, Part 2, from Paramount Pictures, rated R.
Hello, creeps.
It's John Kassir,
the voice of the Crypt Keeper. And I'm a friend of bloodygoodhorror.com.
Send your emails to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or hit us up on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. And don't forget to pick up back episodes of the show at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com.
And we are back. We are back. Time to do fan mail. info@bloodygoodhorror.com's email address. First up, the Enigma. I just wanted to mention, I was surprised that you couldn't really relate to Keanu Reeves' character in Knock Knock, Eric. I did. I was screaming, "You fucked me" to Eli Roth after watching this shitstorm of a film.
It was
Boom.
Free pizza.
Dropped the hammer. Yeah, free fucking pizza.
Hashtag free fucking pizza.
Next up, Eric from Minnesota. Hey guys, discovered your show about 8 months ago and have been a fan ever since. I listen to you guys every week and I'm hoping to finally become a Patreon member here in the near future. I noticed on your introductions to the show you use a music sample from the Friday the 13th Nintendo video game. In the last couple of weeks, I've been finding myself playing it again a little each night on my computer and for some reason feel like I've gotten nowhere close to beating it. Was wondering if you guys were fans of the game when you were kids and did any of you ever beat it? No one has ever beaten that game.
That can't be a real thing.
Yeah, it's a remix of I think the menu music or something from that game. What I will say is if you are like me and are fascinated with the ways that like people in modern times play those old games and try to break them and learn things about them, I highly recommend you look up Friday the 13th, because literally, I don't know, have you guys ever played this?
I have not made it very far.
You're like a counselor, and you have a map of Crystal Lake when you hit pause, and it's got the like different cabins, and in each cabin there's a counselor, and basically you walk around, you kill zombies because like zombies come up out of the ground with rocks, and then you'll get an alarm, and you hit start, and you see where Jason is, and then you're like, oh shit, I gotta go there. Except it's Nintendo, right? So the map like doesn't really make any sense. Like you have to, it's really not intuitive the way you get to the place on the map. But anyway, if you don't get there soon enough, Jason kills the counselor. If you do get there soon enough, you have to fight Jason, who's basically just this big blue dude who like stabs at you. But like it takes, basically there's certain ways. Now, Mark, you played it, so you have context for this. But like if you, from the start of the game, move to certain screens and do certain actions, you can actually like, you can game the way the random like weapons show up. So you get the weapon you need right away. So stuff like that. So there's like really fascinating speed run stuff on Friday 13th out there, that I highly recommend. It's like, it was kind of amazing though, as like you didn't see properties like that all the time on Nintendo. So it was weird to have this creepy game about murdering, you know, and then you lose and the big screen comes up and it says game over, your friends are dead.
Also, I mean, this is
which is the best.
Yeah, this is kind of a throwback to the earlier days of YouTube and the internet. But if you look up the angry, I guess he's the angry video game nerd.
Yes,
if you look up his episodes on the Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street games, it's amazing. Because I have played the Nightmare on Elm Street game, and it is infuriatingly difficult and fucking terrible.
Yeah. That's a lot worse, I think. I actually own 2 copies of the Friday 13th game, and they're on this shelf behind me.
That is the least surprising thing I've heard about you today.
It's got really, really cool, like, Technicolor art on it, which I really enjoy. So,
Nice.
There you go. There's that, Eric. Next up, Dustin. In the Knock Knock episode, Schnars states that the lovely Ms. de Armas is Chilean when she is, in fact, Cuban. I will let this one slide. Sorry, I don't have my word wrap on or something.
Did you just turn into a robot?
I will let this one slide.
I will let this one
Seeing
slide.
as how I know that Schnars has been hard at work helping Trump develop a plan for the installation of a wall along the Mexican border. You're right. He's been very tired. He's got an event tonight. It's a whole thing.
Structural integrity.
Last up, Brian Lasseter. I want Joe ringtones, and I would probably buy a Shanners t-shirt. If Jim Bob and Mia got married, would they be the Shar Newses? So there you go.
I like that. The Schnars Newses?
Schnars Newses, yeah.
Schnars News.
Yes. All right. info@bloodygoodhorror.com is email address. We're also on Twitter @BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. Mark, before you do tweets, why don't you tell us about our Instagram?
Oh, we're also on Instagram. It's Instagram. It's Bloody Good Horror is our username, and I usually post lead-ins to the upcoming live shows. I also repost a lot of stuff, from people that make cool shit, and some horror memes in there, and also typically anytime any of the BGH crew see each other IRL, photos of that go up. So if you like looking at us. Which, why wouldn't you? It's a good place. It's a good place to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's it. You want me to talk about Twitter now?
I would love it.
All right. Ask BGH. First one. It's from Gardner7001. Thoughts on Tales from the Crypt reboot with M. Night and TNT. I absolutely love the HBO series. Sad to hear no Crypt Keeper.
Yeah, really? Like, I hate... They were gonna so they announced this remake of like Mystery Science Theater recently, and then fans were freaking out that they were like casting new people, but they actually cast like amazing new people. So I didn't think it was that big a deal. So I'm not always like nerd rage against when you change things, but why would you even touch Tales from the Crypt if you weren't bringing the Crypt Keeper back? Like their argument is that they're going back to the original comics, or like if you ever saw the 70s film, which is actually pretty good, it was like 1972 or something. It's just a dude in a robe like by a fire. But guess what's way better than that? The friggin' Crypt Keeper. Like, seriously, it's one of the greatest horror pop culture icons of all time. Like, don't do it without. Like, it's stupid. Who's gonna watch that?
Yeah.
Shit, half those episodes were terrible. You just watched it just for the wraparound.
I mean, it does, right? It just seems like I've mentioned this multiple times on the show, but whenever I think of Tales from the Crypt, I think of the Crypt Keeper, and I think of that fucking awful basketball
Yeah.
one where the dude's feet, like the dude is strangled to death by his own feet that are like chopped off and hopping down the stairs. It's just really fun. I don't know. I can't remember the name of it.
So there, I don't know if they're still there, but like last year, I found that somebody had uploaded like all of them to YouTube, so I watched all of them in HD on YouTube.
Nice.
They're pretty good. They're fun, you know. They're silly. They're trifles, Mark. You might say.
You are so proud of yourself. This next one is from our very own Evan Sleed. Would just like to throw out there that I would definitely buy a Schnarr's scanner shirt. Also, I use an RSS reader.
Shanner's graphic that also has been up in the show the entire time, by the way. It is so good. Like, it is so frigging hilarious. And he even changed the text, like the teaser text on the poster. It's great. I assume that went up on her Instagram, Mark.
You know, I don't know that it has yet.
Make that happen, please? Because seriously,
I think I have the technical capabilities.
Maybe
of doing
the
that.
best meme we've ever created.
I don't know, man. No one has sent me Dr. Katz Medicine Woman yet, so please, whoever you are, dig that up.
It was really good too. That was the
so
funny
good.
thing.
It was like
dead on. Yeah.
You're talking about dedication. Oh my god, so funny. All right, next one's from Blue Daisy 90. Was that the cheapest ending ever, or what? Referring to The Forest. Yeah, I mean, the ending was very cheap.
Got begooled, son.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly think I would hate the movie less if that didn't happen at the end. Like, if we just got the...
I almost have come to expect it. I'm always just like, all right, whatever. Well,
Yeah, I feel like it's totally unsurprising, which doesn't make it disappointing, but I was expecting that to
it's unsurprising, which not for nothing, like, makes it super ineffective as, like, you know.
If you see the jump scare coming.
Even the original Begooled, it was stupid then. I remember us laughing about it on the show then. It was like, really?
But I feel like it's not in there for us. It's in there for people who casually watch one horror movie a year and don't realize that every new horror movie is doing
I don't
this.
think so. I think it's in there for, like, studio execs who now think you have, like, that's the way to go. You know what I mean? I don't know.
You have to send them home scared.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to think about this too much, but I just love the mechanics of the fact that it's supposed to be a first-person shot, and it always comes up from the bottom, so I just imagine like a ghost like creeping up to you on its knees and then popping.
Well, they're right, because that's the biggest problem with it, is that it's fourth wall breaking in a way that's like so dumb.
So dumb.
You know what a big one, like it was Bagul, but also the original Paranormal Activity, like all of them have basically ended like that, with something up in your face, and I feel like that's been part of it too.
I don't know, the dude getting thrown into the camera from the original Paranormal Activity did scare the shit out of me.
No, but then she crawls back in the room and it's like, and then it cuts to black.
Yeah.
I wish, like, you know, if you're not seeing my reenactments of this in the video, you're really missing out, I think.
God, can we, Eric, while I read the rest of these tweets, can you please find the technology to introduce a jump scare into the end of our video feed? Because
that's a great idea.
Just the Shanner's poster, just going,
yeah. All right, next one's
it's got to be the South Park noise, though, when somebody gets shot in the head. Just bleh.
Next one's from Alan Murch. Thoughts on Twitter potentially upping tweet limit to 10,000 characters?
Great,
I think the way it is...
I've been waiting for my grandmother to get on Twitter.
I think the way it is now has more than enough to get...
Literally the only thing that
you
makes...
ruined Alan Murch's...
I don't care. I'm so angry about that. Literally the only thing that makes Twitter interesting is that it forces you to think about the way you're crafting your words. And whenever, like, I see someone who's using that thing, like Twit Longer or whatever, that lets you read longer, I'm like, no, I'm not reading that.
I mean, it's better. To me, that's better than the Patton Oswalt method of numbering a rant like from 1 to 30 as you're just kind of...
But it's funny. I've actually found that it has improved specifically like my emailing, because it forces me to really... I've discovered, if through using Twitter, that I like to like hedge my bets by using a lot of qualifying words of like, you know, maybe, theoretically, potentially, whatever, like stuff that just is not necessary in a sentence, and that I now think about strictly because of Twitter.
I also think that character limit thing has since proven to be bullshit, so we'll see.
What do you mean?
Like, I'm pretty sure it was just like an alarm raised about something that's not actually going to happen. The other thing
were
that
they concerned about data retention or something?
No, I honestly don't know. This happens, like, this has happened seriously like once a year since Twitter has been a thing. Also, the original report I was reading was that it would allow you to tweet really long, but you would still see everything would be truncated, and you basically just have to hit read more, so it wouldn't really change your feed all that much.
They should make a new site called Twitter for Assholes, and if you want to tweet longer, that's where you go.
It's called Facebook.
Yeah, but that's my point. Like, so now, great. Now I get to see more racist rants, but now on my Twitter, great.
I don't know. If Twitter goes away, I just have to find somewhere else to post poop jokes, I guess. I'm not really, I don't know. Next one is from Ost Dog. Would you say that the forest is representative of all of our misdeeds physically and, of course, ethereally? Andy, is that you? I don't know.
I don't know that I would say that.
I don't know if they were referring to the movie, because I wouldn't ascribe anything at all to the movie. But
I'm confused by that question mark.
I think maybe the character of the forest trying to trick you. I don't know. I don't think so.
Secretly, this was a film paid for by lumber companies to make you hate. It's anti-forest propaganda.
Anti-forest. All right,
That's
next
right.
one. It's from Spokey Man Dan.
Of
I
course it is.
I don't understand this question either, but maybe you guys do. Are you aware of the uncalled for presence that DJ Scanner and Uncle Scary bring to the American family's dinner table?
Wow.
What
I don't
in the
even know what
hell
any
are
of that
you
means.
people smoking tonight? What is happening?
I am so confused.
I don't know what's happening, so sorry.
I just searched for Uncle Scary, and I don't even know.
That seems dangerous.
Yeah.
Definitely don't search for Scary Uncle, I think. Uncle Scary appears to be some bootleg ass YouTube thing from what I'm seeing here. So,
guys, what is going on with these questions?
Is there more weird shit?
No. This next one's from Robale. How did the cell phone in the forest last so long when my phone battery went down 30% in my pocket while I was watching the movie?
Somebody in my theater really loudly, when she turned the light on at some point, went, "How is that still alive?" It's pretty great.
Right, she's literally in the middle of a forest. You could very easily contrive any number of scenarios where her phone does not work. But
like, that's what she brought as her. That's what blew my mind. Like, you don't bring a flashlight; they're very cheap.
The undying cell phone is like the new version of the gun that never runs out of bullets. You just kind of accept it.
We're right. Specifically, using that light drains it.
Yeah, real fast. All right, next one is from from Spook It Podcast. Are you guys going to cover the Martyrs remake?
I'm sure if it ever gets. Is it being released this year?
Yeah, I believe it is actually.
I have to know what an American remake of Martyrs
currently
looks like in 2015, because that's a weird sentence that I
think we can ask Luke, because I think he was talking about it. I think he actually has a review ready to go, but it's embargoed. I could be wrong, and that could be outdated information, but that's where my head's at.
Also, we don't care about embargoes. You can just run it.
Breaking the law.
Embargoes are for people who care, Mark.
Right. Studios don't give a shit, so fuck them.
That's just like such a weird thing, right? Like, Martyrs itself as an interesting movie, like, is really of that time period. Very specific. Was it like 2000?
I just wonder, will there be as much peeling in the remake as there was in the original?
There's no way it'll be that crazy. My hope is that it would at least.
There's so much peeling in that movie.
I really love Martyrs. Like, if you go back to that episode, it was probably like the most disturbed that I have ever been on the show, and still been like really into the movie. As long as for me, the important thing is like because the violence isn't really shocking anymore, right? Like, at least not to us. So I hope they preserve the ideas about life that are really at the core of that film, because I think that's like the emotional core, and where it ultimately kind of reveals itself, or the most fascinating thing about that movie to me.
Yeah, like, I don't feel like there was any. I mean, this is the case with almost every remake. I don't think there was anything that was like left out of the original that I would like to see resolved. Like, it's a pretty good standalone.
But to get you to that point at the end, like, that's part of why, and I'm sure we talked about this, another movie that we have a show about, if you go back, part of the reason of that movie being so brutal is that there is actually a means to an end to it when you get to the end, and that's what fascinated me about it. As like, especially at a time with like lots of Saw sequels and stuff, it was like, here's a brutal movie to sit through where they're actually giving you a reason for why this is happening to these characters. Do you ever see Martyr, Sophie?
I have not seen it. No.
I have a poster for Martyr somewhere. I don't know what I ever thought I was going to do with that.
Favorite movie ever. This would be another good
too
plug.
many things.
That's a thing I know about you.
Yeah.
It's another good plug for classics. Can't
Yeah.
remember what episode it was exactly.
Check it out.
Who the hell knows?
Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. Get access to all those classics. You could, in a single day, listen to the Martyrs remake show and that other one we were talking about that I forgot.
This hypothetical Martyrs remake
What was
show.
the first?
The X-Files one?
X-Files. Number 36. I bookmarked it.
I just wanted to point at you on my screen mark and then realized people can't see that, so I got to do that.
Sophie point.
No.
Right.
Stop it. Stop it.
Rub his nose
That's
in
why
it.
that's why Sophie's here, to keep this on the rails.
Next one, also from Spook It Podcast. Can Blood Harvest be up for a spooktacular this year? Tiny, please.
Blood Harvest. Oh, isn't that on Casey's? Oh, we should talk about that.
Yeah, so
we just made our first list in maybe 2 years of staff picks.
Yeah, so this is new. We probably should have opened with this because we talked about it all day.
Real excited.
But so we're trying something out. We in the early months of the year, typically, I don't actually think Blood Harvest is on Casey's list, Eric. But anyways,
I thought I saw that word today, so never mind.
You're just thinking Tiny Tim's just in your head, man.
Tiptoe through the tulip.
So anyways, we're trying something out new. So we're gonna have a couple dead weeks coming up, and in lieu of just picking staff picks and subjecting them to you no matter what, we actually all picked a single staff pick that we're gonna put up for a Patreon vote, and we'll be sending that out probably tomorrow. And we will likely review them in the order that they are ranked. When we have
a popularity contest, basically.
And I don't want to hype it up too much.
No, just give the list. Who gives a shit?
When we took a step back and looked at the list, I started laughing at work because it's like the dumbest. It is the most ridiculous compilation of movies.
It's weird, and there's a couple of old things on there too, which I feel like we only really ever get the chance to do now outside, like when we do staff picks, like older movies. Give a list so people know, because this will.
Well, hold on, give me a second. I gotta find the list here.
When you send this out for a vote, are you going to say who picked which movie?
Yeah, I think we can, and also I'm reasonably sure that people could guess just by hearing it. John's pick is The Hunger from 1982. Eric's pick is Ghost Watch. Mine is Blood Glacier. Joe's is The Peanut Butter Solution. And Casey's is Yakuza Apocalypse.
That just all sounds awesome.
So,
Joe, for the record, if anybody doesn't remember The Peanut Butter Solution, this is some movie that he had like a random childhood memory of, where a kid puts peanut butter in his nether region so he could grow pubes, and someone actually remembered what it was and emailed in about it, and that's how we found out it's called The Peanut Butter Solution.
My sister talks about that movie all the time. She's gonna die when you guys review
Also
it.
known as in Germany as Erdnüsse. What is it? Erdnüsse
it was
butter.
Unternehmen Erdnüsse butter, I believe.
Or Unternehmen Erdnüsse butter. That's right.
I could totally be misremembering that, but that's just like
sounds
what
right
it
to me.
Yeah.
Sounds like the opening of that Offspring song.
So I'm actually like super excited about my pick, and we're gonna do all of them. It's just the order we do them in. But I actually watched it this weekend. It's this thing called Ghost Watch, which was a special that aired on the BBC in the UK in like 1994 on Halloween night, where they took like real television presenters and made this like fake program, presented it as real, about doing like a live ghost hunting kind of a thing. Like, so there's like old British BBC presenter guy in the studio hosting it and taking phone calls, and then they go live remote to this house where there's like a reporters and stuff, and it's like, it's kind of like fun and a little spooky and like a really interesting like proto found footage kind of thing. Like Paranormal Activity owes so much to this thing, I feel like. Really kind of fun and interesting, and I thought it'd be neat to review.
Eric, are you sure you're not talking about Halloween Resurrection?
Positive.
All right.
At no point does Busta Rhymes fist fight Michael Myers in this movie.
Oh, that's my favorite. Oh man, Fat Busta Rhymes on New Year's Eve was so sad.
I miss that.
He was on Pitbull's New Year's Eve
Dude,
special.
Busta Rhymes used to be swole too, Mark.
Yeah, no, he is whatever the opposite of that is now.
Bloated.
He's swollen, I think, is the
Like he got stung by a bee.
poor guy. Can still rap his fucking ass off though, so good for him.
Guy's a national treasure.
That's right. This is from Lowly Ant. If I were to make a compilation of Eric's snorts, would you play it on the podcast even if it's 35 minutes long?
No, it's really weird. Like, I never used to. Oh my god, fat Busta Rhymes. Oh
yeah, he
my.
big.
Hold on, this is going in the video. That's just weird. And he cut his hair too. Who is this person I'm looking at? I don't even know. Oh my goodness. I like the snorting when I laugh thing is literally an affectation that I picked up in my late 20s. Like I never in my life did that before then, and now it's just very pronounced.
Yeah. So there. Well, I think maybe he was also referring to your snorting on last episode. Your sniffling and maybe not. I don't know.
Who knows?
Oh, actually. Oh no. This is the last one. I think there's another one that I missed, so give me a second after this. But this is from Little Frank 1818. What movie has a better movie guide entry? This Is the End or Monster House?
Nothing will ever beat House Tries to Eat Child.
No, I think my favorite from Monster House is Problem Solved Without Prayer, I think, which is like just the fucking worst thing that could ever happen in these people's opinion. I think it's hard to compare them. The Monster House one is so funny because Monster House is a children's movie, and like this makes it sound like it's like fucking satanic propaganda. But This Is the End one, I think, gets huge points for just because if you've seen This Is the End, like so much crazy shit happens. So yeah, I don't know. That's a hard one.
I would like to say that if you value your time, you should probably never Google Fat Busta Rhymes and go to image search because there's just so much stuff.
Yeah, and he was wearing like a white fur coat and shit. It was just it's like a weird.
Aw.
I mean, I also just admitted that I watched the Pitbull New Year's Eve special, so I guess we're all kind of.
You know what it is, Mark? It's that when people you grow up with get different, like look different in age, it makes you acutely aware of your own mortality. Like I would like Busta Rhymes to be a fit rapping person forever, but such is life, I guess.
A fit rapping person.
Yes.
Excuse me, fit rapping person. Could you please stay ripped like Jesus forever? So there was
It's just so weird. So
yeah,
weird.
someone posted. Oh, actually, so I don't know if we read this on the last one. I don't think we did. It's from Vacant Village. And this actually, I'm so glad that this came up in this episode. Most terrifying nightmare you've ever had.
Oh, geez.
I've been over my night terrors ad nauseum on this show.
I have two very clear like I don't really experience nightmares of the like over the top variety anymore. It's usually just something shitty happens and I wake up bummed out. But I have two very clear childhood memories, which I'm glad Tales from the Crypt came up, because I had a nightmare when I was a kid that was one of those nightmares where you're like it was almost like a waking dream sort of thing where you were like I was in my room and the crypt keeper was like taunting me and I was terrified, and then He-Man came out of my closet and chopped off his head.
Your boy He-Man coming to the rescue.
Also, that nightmare dates you so hard, and it's fantastic.
And I also had a dream when I was like, I want to say 6 or 7, that I was like naked being chased around a maze that was on fire by like a bunch of monsters. It's so ridiculous.
That sounds like some Freudian stuff going on there.
This
Mark.
sounds like it does, and also that I probably watched movies that I should not have watched when I was.
Yeah,
6.
I mean, for me, it was Halloween 2 when I was about 10 years old, and I had horrific nightmares about Michael Myers chasing me for an entire summer. And for some reason, he was always floating. Like, he wasn't walking. He was just floating at me, which is fucking way worse.
That's pretty terrible.
Not cool, man.
I feel like I've had a lot of weird night terrors. I think the one I can think of the most clearly that happened relatively recently is I had a dream where for some reason I was in a town where they had to sacrifice someone for some reason crops or whatever, I don't know. And they decided that I was the person they were going to sacrifice. So I spent my whole dream trying not to get killed. And then this woman just walked up to me and said, "It'll all be over soon," and then stabbed me in the ribs.
Oh my god.
Oh God.
That is
And
not cool.
I woke my boyfriend up because I was like hyperventilating, and he was like, "You're having a nightmare. Just sleep."
I have found that as I have gotten older, and like it's been a little bit up and down, but generally the intensity and like detail that I remember of my dreams has lessened. And I would almost like take the nightmares with it to kind of have that vividness back, because I feel like when you're young, you dream at a vivid quality that's like, it's partially what makes a nightmare terrifying, even if they're dumb. It's just it's all about kind of your mindset when you're in that dream of like, this is the scariest thing that's ever happened, even if it's not, and then you wake up and it's terrifying. Also, when you're a kid, like, you're always sleeping alone, right? Like, I guess that's a secret good thing about being an adult, is like you get to sleep next to someone, so that when you wake up terrified, even if you don't ever tell them, you're like, oh god, oh thank god, there's somebody else here. I'm gonna wake the dog up and talk to him.
I'm just now imagining waking up and having to tell someone about that Crypt Keeper dream.
But yeah, I'm interested if like other people have experienced the same thing with like getting older and having the intensity of your dreams kind of.
I'm not gonna lie, Eric. That's a really kind of depressing way to say you don't have nightmares anymore. Like, I wish I had nightmares because then I would be alive again.
I don't know.
No,
Maybe it's just me.
I mean, I get what you're saying. It just bums me out a little bit.
Sorry, dude. I'm good at that.
Yeah. For sure. Also, another back episode, The Nightmare, was a movie we reviewed last year that we all were very confused by.
Terrible.
I had a nightmare last night that I showed up for the podcast and I was naked.
You had no pants on? Yeah.
But then, luckily, my video didn't work, so it's not a problem.
That's common for first timers. The good news is you did well and you have your clothes on, so there you go.
Well, as far as we know.
Yeah.
Info at bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address. Mark, we're back. It's 2016. What do we got next week? Are we jumping into this first staff pick, whatever gets voted here?
Yeah, presumably you will know within the next few days, and we will post it on Twitter and Instagram and probably Facebook.
I'm excited for all these movies, so do your worst, patrons. But if you want to, if you would like to be a person who votes on these types of things, which we're trying to give you guys even more of that stuff in the new year, patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. There's different levels you can support the site at. And that gets you, some of it gets you access to this live stream. Some of it gives you access to all the back episodes. I think everybody might get to vote, or like everybody past maybe the first level or something gets to vote. I'm not entirely sure. But, you know, and all that stuff's going into making Bloody Good Horror even bigger and better in 2016. So it's kind of a, you give a little, you get a little, Mark. I think that's how we like to look at it.
That's right.
Info at bloodygoodhorror.com. Don't forget to check out reviews every day on the site, including from Mr. Colin.
Yay.
And we're on
and Ms. Sophie.
We're on Instagram.
Yay.
Sophie's been doing her drinking game posts, which are a lot of fun. Are you guys still tweet with BGHing?
We're currently on a hiatus, but I would think we'll probably be back in the next couple of weeks. We're debating what series to do next.
Awesome.
Also, we've got another few United States of Horror posts in the hopper. We are doing some musing on that today, so that'll
Very
be
nice.
Yeah. We're looking at California, Texas, and Louisiana are three that are coming up at some point, and Chicago. So Illinois, but Chicago.
Louisiana. Isn't that where you're from, Sophie?
Louisiana fast.
Louisiana is not where I'm from, but I lived in New Orleans for a year.
Okay. I remembered part of a thing.
I'm from Delaware, where I am now.
Oh, gotcha. I guess that's it. This was our discussion of the forest. Hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to check out the site. We'll talk to you next week.
Adios.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.